Have you heard of the term fast fashion? Have you been concerned about violations of human rights and environmental pollution due to the production of clothes of your favorite fashion brands? Have you ever asked yourself why the fast fashion industry pretty much gets away without being responsible for these things? Basically, without cleaning up after their mess. And is it only the fast fashion brands? Are they the only ones exploiting workers?
The current tendency of fast fashion brands to produce clothes that were made without due regard for the environment, human rights, and health resulted in very cheap and low quality clothes. Their extreme cheapness, accessibility, and influx of retail shops became a reason for people to shop endlessly. As a result, clothes became all the more disposable than ever before. People buying unnecessary stuff, buying low and poor quality clothes in piles, never satisfied, always in search of the perfect outfit, supporting an unsustainable way of living, reaching for that shiny object. Without realizing one thing, what is going on behind the scenes of the fast fashion industry? If only we, the consumers, knew the true cost of fast fashion.
Hello everyone, my name is Aser Sorbekova and I studied law, international law and human rights for the past 12 years, with my last specialization being in the field of conduct of multinational enterprises and foreign direct investors with respect to labor rights. And this video is a look at the fast fashion industry from another angle. I'm also a consumer of fast fashion products just like you, and I have something very important to say about fast fashion. So make sure to stay until the end of the video because I will help you better understand the legal and moral side of the fast fashion industry and reveal what actors are to blame for unsustainability of this industry in terms of workers' rights, pollution of the environment, and most importantly, your health. All right, let's go into the heart of the matter. So what is fast fashion? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a fast fashion is an approach to the design, creation, and marketing of clothing fashions that emphasizes making fashion trends quickly and cheaply available to consumers through production of clothes in countries where labor is cheap via a local garment factory. But fast fashion is not only this definition. Fast fashion is beautiful from the outside, but a horror movie inside. And more importantly, fast fashion is not the massive production of clothes. Fast fashion is not about 24 or 52 collections per year. Fast fashion is more than that, and to understand that, I invite you to remember some sad historical facts. The ugly truth about the fast fashion industry.
The 24th of April 2013, Dhaka, Bangladesh. 1,137 workers dead and around 2,500 people injured after the collapse of the 5-floor commercial building Rana Plaza, making it so far the deadliest garment factory of all times that involved apparel manufacturing for the biggest brands such as the United Colors of Benetton, Bon Marché, The Children's Place, El Corte Inglés, Joy Fresh, Mango, Matalan, Primark, Zara, Walmart, C&A, Carrefour, and others. A little earlier, the 24th of November 2012, again Dhaka, Bangladesh. The Tazreen fashion factory fire took lives of at least 117 workers and injured over 200 persons, making it the deadliest factory fire in the history of Bangladesh and likewise involving many renowned brands.
When people talk about the above-mentioned accidents, the first words that come into their minds are fast fashion, loss of human lives and health in a working environment. The examples above were given to show that working conditions in developing countries that attract fast fashion brands leave a lot to be desired, and how serious consequences of employment accidents due to non-compliance with international labor standards can be. These are only some examples of occupational accidents that have created a lot of resonance around the world. They are a proof of how the mass media and public's attention is usually drawn post factum, in the aftermath of an accident, to situations that leave many dead and injured at one place. Certainly, respective stakeholders in the global garment industry learned some lessons after the collapse of the Rana Plaza building. So did the fast fashion brands and the entire fast fashion industry. However, even after the Rana Plaza accident, even after 7 years, the situation of workers in terms of occupational safety, regulation of hours of work, and decent pay has not much improved ever since. Why? Because here's the thing. This is because the situation that involves the fast fashion industry is one that is complex. It is complex because it involves a group of actors that together comprise an undividable chain in terms of who is to blame and who takes the responsibility. The fast fashion revolves around the concept of creation of garments in countries other than the country of residence of the brand itself, thus without an ownership of the garment factory by the brand itself. For example, H&M operates in Sweden, but it works with garment factories in Bangladesh, China, Turkey, Cambodia, India, etc., just like other brands. Now, let's understand that there are 3 key points of decent working conditions which are a big issue in the fast fashion industry. The first one is occupational safety and health. The second one is regulation of hours of work. And the third one is decent work pay. And we're not even talking about a 1-month annual vacation. We are just talking about the fact that in this industry, workers need to have a safe working environment. Their salary needs to be decent, and they must not work excessive working hours. This is what they have been trying to achieve, but without much progress. So these 3 components, what do they mean in a plain English? The first one is a safe working environment both for health and life. Long and short term wise, if you're working now and seem fine, but your health is weakening over the course of some time, or there will be obvious signs of diseases a few years later, or that you're working in ridiculously unsafe working conditions in a building which can crack any minute, that's what it means. That you need to have a safe working environment when you're working. The second one is about regulation of hours of work, meaning that you're supposed to work hours, whether day or night shifts, that are not excessive. Usually the standard is 40 to 45 hours per week, but overtime work is allowed if compensated with salary and a rest time. And the third one is about a decent salary. A salary that reflects the life in that country. How much is enough to live a normal life? In Bangladesh, a decent salary is considered around $200 US. You may have noticed that this part of the video is entitled as Fast Fashion and Human Rights. Workers' rights are the same as human rights, just in the specific category, employment relationship, whereas we have an employer and employee. In international labor law, we call it labor rights. However, when it comes to the fast fashion business model, there's a problem with the protection of workers' rights about the 3 elements that we discussed above, which are important to the garment industry workers. So what is happening is that we are not having a decent protection of these three elements. Workers are working extremely excessive hours, they're getting paid so little, and their working environment is not safe. You might be now asking, well, what kind of a problem? Because so far we see that nobody is forcing anybody, they are getting their salaries, there is an employment relationship. Yes and no. The problem exists in that the fast fashion brands are not considered as employers of workers in the fast fashion garment industry. Defining who is an employer of these garment industries workers is of central importance in terms of who pays them their salaries, and most importantly, who is responsible for their occupational safety and health within the framework of a decent work. Now we're coming to the central question. Who are employers of these workers? In order to find out who is the real employer, let's look at one example by taking a specific country. Well, who should we pick? Which country? Well, for example, my shirt was made in Bangladesh, so were some of my clothes here. These leggings, this workout shirt, so was this shirt button down. So it seems that I have many clothes made in Bangladesh, so let's go with Bangladesh. Just to be clear, the practice that exists in Bangladesh is also one that has been long observed in other countries of the global south. It means Asian countries that produce the clothes. So I'm taking this country as a case study for the purposes of this video, and in no way am I somehow prejudiced towards it. In Bangladesh, the ready-made garments industry occupies a unique position in the Bangladesh economy. It is the largest exporting industry in Bangladesh, which experienced phenomenal growth during the last 20 years. The available workforce at a reasonable wage, duty-free market access in the major export destination, preferential location in the heart of the Asia-Pacific region, all this acted as a catalyst to attract foreign investment in the textile and apparel industry. However, according to the United Nations 2012 investment report, UNCTAD 2012 investment report on Bangladesh, businesses, local garment factories, they do not want the massive inflow of foreign direct investments. In other words, since the local garment factory businesses do not want foreign fashion brands to open their own factories, they are the ones trying to limit foreign direct investment inflows into the garment industry. So, who is the elephant in the room? Who are the employers of workers that are making our clothes? Stricto sensu, according to the law, both national laws and international laws. The answer is that local Bangladeshi garment factory owners are employers of our fast fashion brands' garment workers. So, my friends, local factory owners where our clothes are being made, they are the employers of the workers. Question: why don't fashion brands own garment factories in Bangladesh? Answer: because local businesses do not want them. They want to keep their businesses and keep making clothes for cheap and sell to the fast fashion brand. For the local factories owners, the fast fashion business concept is a strategy to exist as an enterprise at its minimum. Do you understand what I'm saying? But what would be different? when could we call the fast fashion brands as these workers' employers? Only if the fast fashion brands came and opened their garment factories in Bangladesh. Otherwise not. If the owners of garment factories are foreign investors, as in fashion brands themselves, the issue of responsibility for violation of labor rights and causing ecological damage would be settled, because foreign direct investors can be held responsible for the deeds of their representation, companies or subsidies, on the territory of a whole state, for example, Bangladesh. However, the issue with the fast fashion industry in Bangladesh is different. It is different in the sense that I will dare say this, and many might not like it, that the fast fashion brands, other than trading with private local in-country enterprises that lower the protection that is available at the national level through the Labor Act 2006 of Bangladesh, strictly speaking, are not directly responsible sides for pollution and violation of labor rights. Surely the brands have their hands on because they are doing business with these unethical businesses. And this goes without saying. So no doubt about that. But according to the national and international law, the responsibility is more on the local garment factories and the governments for failing to oversee and inspect activities and buildings in accordance with their respective labor legislations, further followed by unethical decision of the fast fashion brands to do business with them on the conditions, terms, and regime that, in this case, the government of Bangladesh has created at the companies, and the companies taking advantage of this. And now we're coming to the final part of this analysis. Factors that made the fast fashion grow the way it is today. I have singled out 10 factors that make fast fashion evolve as we know it today. So let's jump into it. There is no issue about the production of the fast fashion rapidly as such. In other words, the fast fashion is not about the speedy rates and timeliness at which clothes are made and the fact that we have from 24 to 52 collections per year, which means that the time span of production and transport to shops is only 10 to 12 days. Surely this is insane. The issue, however, is quite deeper than that and is layered in multiple levels. Involvement of multiple actors. And according to my research and calculations, there are at least 10 undividable factors around which the fast fashion business model is built. First, we have to understand that it is the governments of countries where our clothes are being made, where the fast fashion industry invests. It is them that are making the wages as low as they are today in order to boost the economy. Every time the Bangladeshi or Cambodian people, for example, go for a strike or a rally, the law enforcement officials meet them with violence and suppress them. Second, garment factories that belong to local entrepreneurs are creating unsafe working conditions and are making workers work insanely excessive working hours. Third, the governments, for example, India and Bangladesh, are closing eyes on these unsafe situations by not inspecting these places on a regular basis, by not shutting down these factories that do not conform to safety standards and that violate the labor legislations. On top of that, there's also a sufficient presence of corruption starting from the first instance local administrations. And fourth, on the basis of points 1 to 3 that I have just singled out, the governments are attracting the fashion brands by creating an accessible environment for these businesses. Fifth, on the basis of points 1 to 4, the fast fashion Businesses, they do business based on the environment that was especially created by the government to attract these brands and support the country's small and medium enterprises and other local enterprises in the field. And 6, on the basis of points 1 to 5, the fast fashion brands thus willingly collaborate, sometimes partner up, with governments and governmental factories. 7th, the international trademark law, by authorizing the knockoffs, copies of original products, has contributed to allowing these fashion brands to develop into what they are today. It is thus easier to create 52 or 24 collections when all the fast fashion brands have to do is to copy the originals and modify them instead of creating their own designs. Surely this means that the fast fashion brands had something to do with it and influenced the international copyright law so that they have a leeway and margin of maneuver to produce their products by modifying the designer models and designer houses' ideas. Factor number 8. The dilemma among garment factories is to produce more clothes, make more money, and compete with each other. And as much as they want to filter wastewater and be more ecologically sustainable and labor rights-wise ethical, they end up competing with each other. They think that those that do not follow environmental standards will be better profitable. Factor number 9. The garment factories, even if they conform to international standards, they can do business with local dyeing and textile enterprises that are not ethical, and also hire subcontractors whose production is not so sustainable. And factor number 10, a cherry on the top, us consumers. How can we forget buyers? It is people who endlessly want to buy for the sake of buying, who are looking for that perfect thing, never satisfied. Once again, because we live at the time when the fast fashion made clothes all the more disposable because of the cheapness of the price. So I think that these 10 factors are interconnected, and together they make an undivided chain around which the fast fashion business model is built. And what is fast fashion? To conclude, the fast fashion industry is not about 24 collections or 52 collections per year, or how disposable clothes have become today. The fast fashion is the compilation of the above-mentioned 10 factors and responsibilities of 4 actors: governments, local garment factories, fast fashion brands, and consumers. So to break this cycle and to make more improvements, it must take everyone mentioned to improve the situation. And what is the solution? And it is not buying less. Yes, on an individual level, buying less and making sustainable choices is what comes first as the best individual solution that each of us individually can do to produce less garment waste. But on a more problem-solving level, sort of a global approach, we need to start from the governmental level, and then the level of factories, garment industries, and then the people of these countries. Also, we cannot say no to fashion at all, in the sense that the majority of the world population is poor or middle class and cannot afford expensive garments. So first, to satisfy the needs of masses, we need to have affordable fashion. Now, if you had noticed, I said affordable, not fast. Because hear me out. Surely people, us consumers, we need clothes, but these clothes here in Europe or anywhere in the countries of G20, developed countries, they must not cost 15 to 25 euros per jeans, and surely not 10 euros per t-shirt. Second, if the fast fashion brands limit their collection to at least 12 collections per year to start with, followed by a decision to make only 4 collections per year, This might make the fashion more sustainable. Do you agree? Well, the answer can be yes and no, but surely there could be less garbage-looking clothes and more quality-based ones if the brands follow this approach and make more sustainable choices. Number 3, and needless to say, we consumers must stop seeing in fashion a therapy. We need to buy only what is necessary. We need to stop consuming and buying on a regular basis shiny things. Number 4, the garment factories need to gather together and boycott the fast fashion brands regarding the contractual terms that these brands establish. They actually have to join forces in unions together to negotiate better prices and longer time span for the production of clothes instead of competing with each other. Having said that, I will sum up that the current pattern that exists in the world of the fast fashion is that the fast fashion brands are going to countries whose labor and human rights protection mechanisms are one of the lowest, and where the labor is one of the cheapest. They, the fashion brands, are declining the tiniest portion of responsibility because they have built a business model according to which they do not hire workers, but work with the local garment factories who are employers of these workers. This model has existed so long for a long time, but now it has been starting to get shaky. Shaky because you cannot keep feeding the consumers with the unhealthy model that has beaten itself up with clothes that are not of good quality and not sustainable. People are now becoming more and more aware of the behind the scenes of the fast fashion industry. More and more pressure needs to be put on the fast fashion brands through peaceful means, through its clients, us, customers, and sustainable development activists, as well as international organizations and the United Nations organization. I will conclude by saying this, that the situation that involves the fast fashion industry today is like a plant. A flower that you think needs water because you think that it needs to drink, that it needs to be watered. But in reality, the flower is rotten from the roots. Treat the flower from its roots and eliminate the cause that is destroying it from the roots. Or else, the cause of the sick flower will spread to other flowers and contaminate the rest. If you did not understand my metaphor, give it a little thought and you will have the answers. But I guess it's already clear who is what and what is how, isn't it? On that note, this video having been long, if you watched it till the end, I say thank you. And if you would like to watch similar videos like this, click the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, press like, and join me every Sunday 10 a.m. CET. And also leave a comment down below on what are your thoughts about what has been said by me, agree, disagree, and we can continue talking about it in there in the comment section. I would like to hear from you. Until then, take care and see you next time.